Hey y'all, welcome to my kitchen. Today I want to make for you my version of squash casserole or summer squash casserole. In the South, if somebody says they're making a squash casserole, it always contains summer squash. Now, squash is a vegetable that I love and I look forward to every summer. We eat it 3 times a week. There's so many different ways that you can prepare squash, and today is one of my favorites. I love a good squash casserole. It's not real hard to put together, and it cooks pretty quickly once you get it mixed up and get it in your oven, and it is delicious. It's also really, really good left over. So let me tell you what goes in my casserole. You're gonna take about 5 or 6 squash. I like to get the smaller size squash. They're just not as seedy as the larger, but if you only have the larger size available to you, then you may only wanna do 4 or 5 if they're quite large. And then you're gonna do a cup of onion and chop it up. You're gonna have 2 large eggs that we're gonna beat up in just a little bit. We're gonna do a cup and a half of shredded cheddar cheese. You're gonna have 6 tablespoons of butter. Now you're gonna half that, so you're gonna use 3 right away and 3 later. You're gonna do a sleeve of Ritz crackers or buttery brown crackers, whatever you have. You're gonna do a half a cup of mayo. You're gonna have 2 teaspoons of salt, or you're gonna use 1 teaspoon to begin with and 1 later. And then you're gonna have 8 ounces or 1 cup of sour cream. Now next we're gonna go over to the stove and we're gonna show you how we start getting this casserole put together. Okay everyone, as you can see we're over at the stove, and I went ahead and got my pan started heating over like a medium to a medium high heat, and you're going to want to go ahead and put your butter in and melt it up a little bit. You're going to stir it around in your pan, kind of coat the bottom, and then we're going to put in the onion, and then we're going to get our squash in and get it cooking. Now you're going to cook this until it is just about completely tender. And then we'll go back over and mix up the other ingredients for the casserole. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put half of our salt in, and we'll leave the other half for the rest of the casserole. I'll tell you a story while this is cooking up. Years ago, I was at a Thanksgiving meal with my old manager and her family. They invited us to come to their Thanksgiving, and I had just moved to the South maybe a couple years before that, and we went through the line. They had a buffet, and I got some yellow vegetable. I thought it was a baked corn. Now, I grew up north, and we had baked corn quite often, and I love baked corn, so I got a nice helping. And we got our plate fixed. I sat down and I started to eat, and I took a bite of it, and I was like, wow, that's not baked corn, but that's really good. I didn't know what it was. I had never had yellow squash before, and someone had made a squash casserole. Well, I've been in love with squash ever since. We love it. Like I said earlier, fruits and vegetables for the summer is one of my favorite parts of summer, because you get the fresh vegetables, and we love squash. You can make it fried, or we like to just do it in butter and onions sometimes, but we really like this recipe that I'm making for y'all today. It's actually very good, and it's not real hard to get together. But while you're doing this, I'll go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. That way, whenever you get this done cooking, you can put it in your oven and it's going to be ready to go. But another part of that story is that it was out in a small town outside of Dothan called Columbia. And years later, I found out that my now husband lived 2 houses over from this house that I was at, and he was just a kid when I was there having Thanksgiving. So, small world. As you see, you want to cook this down. The squash will cook up, and it's going to get good and tender, and your onions are going to cook up as well. is going to be a delicious side that we're going to have today. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this cooked down until it is good and tender. And then I'm going to put it in a drainer. I'm going to let the butter and all the liquid come off of it, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, y'all, we're back over and we're going to continue mixing our squash casserole. I went ahead and put our 2 large eggs in my large bowl, and I'm going to beat them up a little bit. I wish y'all could smell my kitchen. I love the way squash and onion smells when it's cooking. It's one of the best smells in my kitchen. All right, I'm going to add in the rest of our salt. And then we're going to put in our cheese. Mix that around a little bit. And then we're going to add in our mayonnaise and our sour cream. This is a great recipe to go with a lot of meats. We're going to have pork chops later, and it's going to go great with that. I don't think there's much that squash doesn't go good with, in my opinion. All right, got the mayonnaise. Let's get the sour cream. This doesn't take real long to get put together and get in the oven, and it only takes 20 minutes to bake in your oven, so it's not a long cooking time once you get everything together. All right, get all the rest of this cream out. And then we're going to mix this up. All right. And then we're going to add in our squash and onion to this. Let me grab that. It's been draining. I'm just going to pour that in here. And we're going to give this a good stir. Get all that in. All right. Now, let's mix this around in our liquid mixture. And then we're going to put it in our sprayed casserole dish, which I've already done. Let's go ahead and put this in here. Make sure you get it all out. And then we're going to do our topping, which is just a sleeve of Ritz crackers, or just buttery round crackers. Now my husband has a trick of how to smash the crackers, which I always get him to do for me. Show you here. You just take the sleeve. He's already done it for me, by the way. And then you just push down very carefully, not to break the bag, and then they're all crushed. And then you just open them up and they're ready to go. It doesn't make a mess. If I can get these open. Let me get my scissors. All right. Hands are a little slick. All right, and we're just going to use the rest of our butter to mix in with this. And you want to melt the other 3 tablespoons of butter. And then just pour that over your crackers and mix it around. And then we're going to put it on the top of this casserole, and we're going to bake it. Let's go ahead and get that on. Let's smooth this out a little bit so it cooks even. This is going to be delicious. I'm already excited about it. All right, let's go ahead and put our crackers on the top. And you're not going to cover this casserole. You're going to leave it uncovered while you're baking. That way it gets to be a nice golden brown. All right, as you can see, we got our topping on. Now we're going to pop this in the oven. It's at 350 degrees for like 20 minutes uncovered. We come back, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Hey y'all, as you can see, I got our squash casserole out of the oven. It smells wonderful in here. I hope the next time that you're at your grocery store or any type of road stand that has fresh veggies and they have squash, that you'll pick some up and try this recipe. I think you'll really enjoy it, and your family and friends will really enjoy it. It's delicious. So I hope that y'all will follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell to get notifications for upcoming videos that I've got. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.